Hello, my name is Glenys and I'm looking at putting together a workshop based on the shark cage metaphor. The shark cage metaphor was developed by Melbourne-based psychologist Ursula Benstead, and the shark cage metaphor is really a human rights-based piece of work for folks who have experienced domestic family violence, sexual assault. So if you have had some of those experiences, or you have someone that you care about, a friend or a family member who might have had a few experiences with abusive partners, they might be interested in finding out a bit more about the workshops. The shark cage metaphor was developed by Ursula Benstead, who is a psychologist in Melbourne. And Ursula's developed this wonderful metaphor. She uses it, she's developed a group program around it, and she provides individual counselling and supervision around the shark cage metaphor. And Ursula came up with it in relation to her work with survivors of domestic and family violence. In response to that question that we often hear from women who've experienced a series of abusive partners, and maybe thinking that there's something wrong with them, that they somehow have invited this violence into their life. The shark cage metaphor speaks directly to that abuse. It addresses the re-victimisation without victim blaming, and that's the important key part of the metaphor. And it also is about a human rights framework. So the metaphor is, imagine the world is a big, beautiful ocean, and there are lots of gorgeous, colourful, harmless, friendly fish and dolphins swimming in this ocean, and there are also sharks, lots of them. There are many sharks, and some waters will have more sharks than others, but there are sharks everywhere, and you don't have to go looking for them. You're going to bump into them because they're everywhere. So because sharks are sharks, they're going to try to bite you. And it's got nothing to do, it's nothing about you that makes them want to bite. Sharks are the ones who decide to bite. They're always 100% responsible for that decision because they're predators and they're dangerous. So to survive in this ocean, you need a good shark cage. But we're all born equal. No one is born with a great shark cage. We don't actually have any shark cage. It's up to the people around us when we're young to help us build a shark cage. So that's our caregivers and everyone we come into contact with in our childhood. They all contribute to the type of shark cage that's built. You can think of each bar of the shark cage as a boundary or a basic human right. So, for example, if we're taught that it's not okay for people to call us names, that's one bar in our shark cage. I have the right to be spoken to respectfully. And if we're taught through words and actions that it's not okay for people to hit us, then that's another bar in our shark cage. I have the right to be free from physical abuse. And if we're taught in words and actions that it's not okay for people to touch us in ways that make us feel uncomfortable, that's another bar. I have the right to decide who touches me and how. And once the bars are in place of the shark cage, the sharks still will come and bang up against them, but they'll find it harder to get close enough to bite and hurt us. And if they do get close and push up against a bar, our body and emotions will tell us that something doesn't feel right. And when we have a good shark cage, our body and emotions will work together to create a shark cage alarm. And this is like our instincts and intuition sending us a warning. This warning can help inform a decision to avoid or minimize any further contact with that person. So unfortunately, as we said, not everyone has been lucky enough to have the caregivers who could help, to help you build a top of the range shark cage. And this might be because we had someone in our childhood who was abusing us, and it's really hard to establish a shark cage of rights if somebody is already demonstrating to us that we don't have any rights. And some of us might have had caregivers who never had a good shark cage themselves, and so they weren't able to help us build one. Most of us have missing bars that need work, and that's okay because you can work on and repair your shark cage anytime. You just need the right blueprint and assistance and tools, and that's what the workshop's going to help with, and the groups. So we'll work out what bars you already have in your shark cage and what bars might need strengthening and adding. And also we're going to put together a treasure chest of tools or self-care strategies that can help you with this work. So the important thing to remember is that even people with the top of the range shark cage can still be attacked. That's because sharks are always responsible for their decisions. Having a good shark cage though, and having a good shark cage alarm, is about us recognising what our rights are and trusting when we feel the warning signs, identifying and responding to warning signs of someone who's going to be disrespectful. So in the workshop, we'll be doing a variety of activities. So we'll be doing some brainstorming as a group, some individual kind of activities. We'll be having discussions, there'll be a bit of education, but we'll be drawing a lot on the stories of all the participants in the group and developing our toolkit on how we understand rights and boundaries, and some techniques we can develop together on grounding, feeling safe, and identifying sharks.